Hey Mark, welcome to Doom and Stone Latin America. Thank you so much for your time. It means a lot for us. I have a couple of questions for you. And of course, the first one is the 30 years ago you released the album Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you record this album and how was the first tour with this one?
Yeah, we decided that we wanted to try working with Conrad Uno. We had recorded a couple of the songs with Jack and Dino in a 24-track studio, and they just sounded a little too slick and produced. And we were kind of thinking about like the records that we'd done so far, which really was only three. I have to turn the sound off on this. We'd only done three records at this point, but like our favorite sounding record, just like the sound of like everything on tape, was the very first single, "Touch Me I'm Sick and Sweet Young Thing," that had a really kind of gnarly sound, and that's what we were ideally trying to go for, and it felt like it had been kind of not as gnarly with like Super Fuzz and not as gnarly with like the self-titled record, both of which were on 16 track. And then we went into this kind of fancy studio with Jack and Dino, which was 24 track, and we just didn't really like the way things were going. So we reached out to Conrad Uno, who had an 8-track studio in the basement. Thought maybe that was the key, was the size of the tape.
Wow, that's fantastic. Talking about the recording process, I want to ask you if Mudhoney continue recording on tape or if you use digital tools to record the new albums. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
We actually did, our last record was recorded onto 2-inch tape. And any edits, there was actually a couple of edits that Johnny Sangster did with a razor on the tape. And that eventually got dumped into Pro Tools. So it went from the tape into Pro Tools, and mastering at this point, like everything's digital, I think it's pretty hard to find something that will just stay on the tape, analog all the way through the process.
I think that's fantastic because you can combine both technologies and you can have or you can get a better product. And let's back to Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge. Do you have any memories about that tour that you want to share with us?
We did a lot of touring, and it was 30 years ago. And, we were drinking a lot. Everything's pretty vague. I mean, generally we had a good time, and that was the aim. And that.
Sound so nice.
Wow, sounds like you have a really good time, the really old days, rock and roll, wild parties, etc. But now let's talk about the fuzz, this pedal effect. So, how you discovered this sound and why it's so important for you and your music? Because actually, you have a song called Fuzz Gone 91. So, this effect is very important and is it's part of your history, part of your DNA.
That's kind of easy. Steve um, was working as a dishwasher in a restaurant, and had just kind of gotten a guitar and was plugging straight into his amp, and was kind of disappointed uh, that the sound was so, it didn't have the sound that he heard in his head. Like, it was just plink, 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 plink. Um, and there was another guy who was working in the restaurant who had been in like punk bands previous, like a little bit older. And I guess Steve mentioned that to him. And the next day he showed up with a super fuzz and just gave it to him. Because at that time, like that kind of 60s fuzz was way out of fashion. Like, I think at this point, this guy was playing in bands that were more likely to use like flange and chorus, kind of a more new wavy sort of thing, which is not what we go for. And in my very first band, Mr. Epp, I had this tiny PV 30-watt backstage amp, and it had a button on it that just said gain. And so I would just turn that all the way up, and that would feed back, and eventually got an MXR distortion box. And my sound for that band was an MXR distortion box with the gain all the way up, so that like when I wasn't playing, it just went.
Welcome back to Doom and Stone Latin America. Today we have to Mr. Mark Arm with us. And Mark, I want to ask you about Tin Guitars. I know this guy lives in Brisbane, Australia, and he relays a collaboration with you, a 7-inch single, and also he created a fuzz pedal based in your sound. So how was this collaboration? Do you remember how you work each other to create this amazing pedal?
Tim, yeah. Oh, Tim's a great guy. And Steve actually ended up getting with that pedal. I didn't get one for some reason. he's got a really cool store and uh, does great effects, and he's a good guy.
Let's back to Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge. You released a special edition, a box set for the 30th anniversary of this amazing album. So tell us a little bit about it and what the fans can expect.
Well, there is a 30th anniversary edition of the record that's coming out. And it's a 2 LP set. The first record being just Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge, that got remastered by Bob Weston up at Chicago Mastering. And he also mastered the second disc too. And that has like 24 track demo versions of some of these songs, as well as a bunch of stuff that's never been released and some stuff that's just been like limited release, like on, compilations and stuff. That's all from around that time.
Do you have any plans for a special show to celebrate 30 years of this album?
We do not right now. We're not. We're I think being a little bit more careful about playing shows, and some bands are obviously like just jumping into it. I would hate to be in a situation that got a bunch of people sick. I would hate to be responsible for that. So I think we all have jobs, right? So it's not like we rely on our music to feed our families. So we're in a position, I think, to better just kind of like wait things out and let other people maybe make the mistakes or do the things, learn how things go moving forward.
Well, also I want to ask you if you recommend us some bands, maybe old or new ones. It would be amazing to know what you are listening right now.
New bands, probably nothing that you haven't already heard of.
Maybe old bands. I mean,
Been listening to the Writhing Squares, Writhing Squares. Are you familiar with them? They're on Trouble in Mind. It's two guys. One plays bass and one plays saxophone, and they'll both play keyboards. And most of their songs are with a drum machine, but like there's one track that they have a live drummer, and it's fucking amazing.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time. It means a lot. We have one last question for you, of course, and what's next for Mudhoney? Thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you, Roman. Pleasure to be here. The next thing is we have some recording dates booked in September. And we are going to have our first practice in over a year on Monday. Yeah. So we're very excited about that. So we're, instead of like concentrating on playing live right now, I think we're just going to work on like writing new songs and recording and, and then maybe we'll play live and like that new record with the old stuff and,